2.
What is up, world? I am back once again on the JCP podcast, and it's funny. Right now we're playing like hot potato because last show it was me and pizza. This show it's me and
Chooch!
yes, and one of these days we're gonna get all three of us back on track on the same show. It'll be an immaculate thing when that happens. But we'll get to that when we do. Hopefully Jacob gets fully off the IR. It was good to have a taste of him back. But you did not click on this video for a life update. You came here for a college football show, and that's what you're gonna get. Week 11 is upon us. And let's just say some frauds got revealed, and some more are going to get revealed too. And also, the elite teams were also revealed. The coaches that actually made adjustments and did things in a correct manner. A lot to talk about on this edition of the College Football Show, and there is not a better starting point than tonight at 9:45. We're going to have Wyoming taking on the running Rebels of UNLV. As you can see, records at the bottom. A lot of intrigue, a lot of hype, a lot of excitement. 3-0 for UNLV, or 3-0, wow. 3-point favorite UNLV. That's what I meant to say. And Wyoming, a road dog. Now, this game could go either way. You could quite literally flip a coin. Both teams are bowl eligible for the first time in God knows how long. But Chooch, who gets this much needed win in the Mountain West Conference?
So I don't know who to pick with this one. Both teams are exceptionally just both teams are just put together well. Wyoming with a big win earlier in the year over Texas Tech.
Yep.
Right? Oklahoma State, Texas Tech.
Texas Tech.
I want to mix the two together there. Anyways, back to what I was saying. UNLV coming out. Where do they come from? 7-2, 4-1 in the Mountain West. This Mountain West is it's getting tougher to play in, and it's getting tougher to win. So with that being said, I'm going to take the Cowboys, though, for the sheer fact that I think they're ready for this game. UNLV still on the rise in terms of, well, we haven't been here in a minute. But I'm taking the Cowboys.
All right, going with Wyoming. I'm going the opposite side of the fence. Now, here's the deal, UNLV. All right, we need to talk. I picked against you one time, and I was right. I picked Michigan, they destroyed you. I picked you guys to beat Fresno State, you lost. So here's the deal. Much like I made a deal with a specific team a week ago, little pop quiz for y'all in the chat. I'm going to go with UNLV. But if you guys cannot pull it together and win this one, do not expect me to pick you for the rest of the year. I think the high-powered offense will get it done, and this team is a contender to possibly win that Mountain West. So let's go, running Rebs. All right, next one here. We're going to kick off the Saturday slate early again, 11 o'clock kickoff. And Chooch, do we really have to talk about this game? I mean, come on, folks. It's the same story every time. But for the sake of you beautiful people, I will talk about it. Michigan, undefeated, but just kind of be careful because they might take your sign if you let them. As they roll into Happy Valley and take on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Now, if you follow the show at all, you know what I'm talking about. James Franklin in big games usually chokes. He's only really beat Michigan one time to the recent memory and beat Ohio State recently one time. Other than that, kind of chokes. It's at home, so there is hope. Drew Aller's still a good quarterback. He has 20 touchdowns, 1 interception, but this Michigan team has been playing red hot. J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, and this defense has been very impressive. out of the last 5 games, their biggest point total that they gave up was 13 points, and that came a week ago to Purdue. Pretty impressive. I mean, I know necessarily not the best competition, but still, to give up 13 in 4 quarters, pretty nice. Michigan's only a 4-point favorite. Chooch, I know you like Penn State. It's got a little spot in your heart. Is this the time where James Franklin finally stomps that record down of sucking in big games? Or will this be the time that he, well, continues to lose in big games?
Well, folks, we have two teams with defenses and offenses in the top 10 in the country. Right? Michigan's averaging 40.7 points a game, and Penn State is averaging literally right below them at 40.2. But Michigan's defense is only allowing 6.6 points a game, where Penn State's allowing 11.8. But also, folks, who have both of these teams played? Penn State played Ohio State and lost by 8. Besides that, you barely beat Maryland the week after that, and then you decided, hey, we're going to hang 51 on. Sorry, you barely beat Indiana, not Maryland, and then you hang 51 on Maryland. Michigan, you haven't played anyone. Your toughest test has literally been. I'm looking for a tough team here.
I was going to say that's me.
ECU, UNLV. No, I don't see it. I don't see why you guys should be ranked as high as you are. There's literally teams below you. Literally teams below you that have beaten better teams. Washington, they won a marathon with USC and Oregon. Why are you 3? Why is Penn State 10? Well, folks, simple. It's a little Big Ten bias here. They want to see the Big Ten succeed. They're not going to. But I got off track there, rant, so on and so forth. Michigan wins this one only because they're playing red hot and pissed off. Penn State finds a way to lose this game late. Wolverines.
You know, when I was talking to Chooch when we were making this schedule, he did something that really describes anytime James Franklin's in a big game. He put a lock by Michigan. Yeah, it is the safest money line in America to vote against James Franklin.
Oh, you can't see it. Oh, they can't see it.
But as I was saying, you know, it is the safest, absolutely safest thing in America to put with Michigan or Ohio State against Penn State. Unless it's like that one awkward year where they become known and they actually win. Oh, we almost... Can we see it? Yeah,
it's a lock.
Got the lock. So yeah, I'm going with Michigan too. I mean, there's no way they lose this game. And if they do, Jacob, prepare to be laughed at, my friend.
Oh, 100%.
All right, moving on to the next game. The Crimson Tide of Alabama take on the Kentucky Wildcats. Alabama thumping the Tigers of LSU at home last week in just a really well-coached second half. If you watch that game, you know what I'm talking about. And there was a little sprinkle of ref ball in there that, you know, happened to favor Alabama, but that's typical. Kentucky on the other side, 6-3, and much like James Franklin and Penn State, whenever they're in a big moment, they usually find a way to lose. However, they did show some life in Stark Vegas a week ago, beating them 24-3. Cowbells were eerily silent in Stark Vegas. It's been a rough year for them. With all that being said, Alabama's an 11-point favorite. The over-under for this game is 47.5. Not a lot of faith in the offenses. They think it's going to be a low-scoring game. ESPN says about 85% of people picking the Crimson Tide in this one. Are you going to be one of the outliers here, Chooch, at Kroger Field?
Oh, I would absolutely love to, but listen, so ESPN took away. So for those of you who know, we usually use ESPN for all this stuff, and ESPN usually has the statistics for the year below the games. Well, they've taken it away the last 2 weeks. Don't know where it's been. So, but Alabama, as much as we got to give them crap because they're Alabama, they're 26th in the country in defense. That's actually in total defense, which is behind Toledo by literally a yard.
Wow.
Yeah, they're in there with Toledo and South Alabama in the 25, 26, 27 area. The defense is not great at Bama, but they help the offense enough to win the games. They bail out the offense enough, which is last week we saw a BS targeting call not get called because that's the guy's MO is to do. He's a Vontez Perfect. He's not going to make it anywhere because he's kind of a scumbag. But that's a different story for a different day. It's for later in the season. Bama's offense isn't really. Hold on, we're gonna do this here. Bring it in. Bama's offense really isn't anything to laugh about or cry about because it's not fantastic. It's not special. Jalen Milroe just decides he wants to dunk it over people all the time, and that's acceptable until you play a team with good linebacker. Oh, I actually had good DC. Yeah, Bama, you're not good, but sadly, the SEC is in a down year this year. I mean, Georgia is probably the best team. Actually, I'd say Ole Miss, just because of the prolific part of the offense there. That's just like, yeah, we're just going to sling it everywhere. And the defense is getting better there. But Bama, you're going to beat Kentucky, but Kentucky's going to make it close. Actually, Kentucky might scare you a little bit for maybe 3/4 of this football game. So take it at Crimson Tide.
All right. Yeah, I'm also gonna go with Alabama just because I mean that defense they're gonna make plays, they're gonna hold the offense into it, and then the offense will eventually do enough to pull away with the victory here in Kroger. Not to mention Kentucky, you can't win big games. I mean, maybe if Mark Stoops could pull it together, you guys had a shot here, but no, Alabama they continue. They're going to be 7-0 in the conference play after this. Sorry, Kentucky. All right, next one here, Big 12 game coming up. The Red Raiders of Texas Tech taking on the Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas, you have nothing to complain about this year. 7-2, a lot of hype around the program, and almost kind of too perfect. You beat Oklahoma, you beat Iowa State, you beat UCF. Your two losses came to Texas because you had your backup in, and then Oklahoma State. Just a close game that just didn't fall your way. And if you're Texas Tech on the opposite side of things, it's been a teeter-totter. Up and down, up and down. Last thing was up as you beat TCU by 7 on the Thursday night game. Nobody knows what is coming with Texas Tech. Can they pull out the shocker here, Chooch, in Kansas?
So this is about the time of year where I'll sit here and say you got to watch out for teams like Wake Forest, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Washington State. They all have state in their name, which is weird. Which is weird. Oh, Purdue. I'm missing schools. North Carolina usually does this, but they're decent this year. Help me out, Cole. Who else am I missing here that does this? This thing that Texas Tech likes to do where they just go, oh, hey, we have no business being in this game, but we're going to show up and we're going to do what we do. But
for the longest time, it used to be Pitt.
There we go. Pitt.
Stanford.
Syracuse used to do it too every couple of years to Clemson and Florida State back when they were good.
Right.
Auburn to Bama whenever Auburn's. So, like this year, Auburn could probably beat Bama.
Exactly.
Woo. Excuse me. Sorry. That was. Woo. But, hear me out. Kansas has 434 yards a game of total offense.
Whew.
Yeah. That's a lot for a Texas.
I don't know why I'm zoomed in, by the way.
I don't know why you're zoomed in either. There's a lot for a Texas Tech team to try and keep up with when your offense struggles to get things going as much as it does. So I'm going to take the Rock Chalk Jayhawk here only because the offense is as good as it is. The defense actually ain't bad either, but Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
I like Kansas. I do. But I can't pick against Texas Tech in this game because so many times I pick against them in this scenario and they win. I don't know why. So I can't afford that on my record. I think Texas Tech is going to come out and do what they do for some ungodly reason. I genuinely don't know why. They will win this game. And it doesn't make any sense. I mean, Kansas is the better team. They have the better offense, they have the better defense, they have the momentum. They're at home. And Texas Tech is going to find a way to win this game. You watch. I don't know why, but they're going to win. So give me the Raiders. All right, here we go to the next one. Here we got the Terrapins of Maryland, who, much like Texas Tech, they've had moments of greatness. They've had moments of utter disappointment and sadness. Out of their last 5 games, they only won 1 game, and that was against Indiana. Ever since then, they got ran over by Ohio State. They lost by 3 at home to Illinois. They lost to Northwestern by 6 on the road, and they got absolutely pummeled by Penn State. Nebraska, on the other hand, not a lot of people have been talking about them, but they have been making their way up. They were on a 3-game win streak, and then in East Lansing found a way to lose to the Spartans by 3. Both these teams kind of in a similar spot. Somebody needs to get back in the win column and bowl eligibility. Winner gets bowl eligibility. Maryland's a 2-point road favorite. Chooch, what do you have to say about it?
So I'm going to tell you why Maryland's a road favorite. It's because their offense is that much better than Nebraska's. But I'm going to slow everyone down there. Or everyone, just calm down, relax. Nebraska's got a top 20 defense this year. I don't know if anyone knows that. Top 20 in the country. They're number 15. That's above your the Oregon teams, Tennessee, Alabama, Texas, Florida State, Oregon State, Wisconsin. The list goes on and on and on. The offense, though, is horrendous. They're like 111th in the country in everything, total offense. So that's where Nebraska gets bit, but the defense is really good. I think Maryland struggles to get it going, but like we saw in the Colorado game earlier this year, Nebraska's defense is going to be out there way too long, and Maryland's just eventually going to crack it open. And I think Maryland edge is just, I want Nebraska to win, but I got to take the Terrapins here just because I think the offense is just that much better than what Nebraska can bring to the table right now and into the first year of Matt Rule. Terps.
No, sir, not me. Nebraska wins this game. Defense shines out and holds this Maryland offense enough so the offense of Nebraska can get going and late win this one for Matt Rule and the Huskers. They go bowling. Give me them Huskers. All right, so real quick, kind of a unexpected loop here. Breaking news: the Big Ten is expected to discipline Jim Harbaugh by preventing him from being on the sideline until the end of the regular season. We did not schedule this. This just popped over the
Literally
ESPN.
just popped up. It just came across the phones.
Does that change your mind on the Penn State game?
No.
Same.
No. I mean, it could make a difference, but maybe not till late, and that's if Penn State's in the game still.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up. Little perspective for people with that Michigan Penn State game, but I'm still going Wolverines. I don't see Franklin winning a big game. All right, next game here, back on schedule. ACC Showdown, and I don't know how to say this because it usually doesn't happen. Boston College is bowl eligible already. What?
Told you they're a better team than people thought.
They're 6-3, 3-2.
They've won their last 5 games, I believe, literally in a row.
5 in a row. Wow. So take a screenshot of that ticker. It's not going to last, forever, but what a monumental thing for Boston College. Virginia Tech, on the other hand, is trying to get in that bowl eligibility conversation. 4-5, 3-2 in conference play. Last game, not so good. They only scored 3. They gave up 34 to Louisville. BC, on the other hand, they just keep finding ways to win. They haven't been the most impressive team, but they have found ways to win, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. They beat Syracuse by 7, they beat UConn by 7 the last 2 weeks, and they are looking to make it 6 in a row with a home victory here against Virginia Tech. Chooch, in my opinion, Virginia Tech absolutely needs this win. If you have to win back-to-back 2 games, not great in terms of bowl eligibility. Can they do it? Can they shock BC and win this one? They are a 1.5-point road favorite after all.
BC is, like you said, they find ways to win. But Virginia Tech's playing fantastic football lately. Yeah, they lost to Louisville by 31 points, but it's Louisville. They're a way better team than we thought they were. And they come out the offense is just, well, it's amazing. Simple as that.
Jeff Brown.
Yeah. See what happens when he gets talent. With that being said, I don't think BC's ready for this Virginia Tech team. I think Tech's a lot better than we think they are. I mean, hell, some of us even think BC's better than they think they are. But, well, that's me. But different story for a different day. Listen, you only beaten UConn by 7 points isn't impressive. You barely beat Army. You've barely won all your games this year, I'm pretty sure. I think the only one you've won by more than 2 possessions is Georgia Tech. More than 1 possession was Georgia Tech, and that was 15 points. Come on, folks. Wake up here. Smell the roses. It's the Hokies all day. Go Tech.
Good pick. Good pick. Virginia Tech wins this game because they're playing with a fire.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Wake Forest. They beat Syracuse. Yeah, that Louisville loss hurts, but I think this team has got a lot more in the tank, and I think bowl eligibility is the name of the game, and this team will be ready to go. I love BC. I love what they've been doing, but they don't have what it takes. Listen, last 2 weeks you only scored 21 against Connecticut and 17 against Syracuse. That's not enough to beat this Vatech team. Hokies. All right, next game here, another ACC showdown. We got 2 in a row. How about that? Georgia Tech goes on the road to take on the Clemson Tigers. And, well, for Dabo's sake, let's say this part a little quieter. They need this win to get bowl eligible. Yeah, they need, this would be their 6th win. I mean, technically, they would have 2 more chances, but they would rather get it here than wait another 2 because you got South Carolina coming up on the docket, which is always a close game, and that'll be in 2 weeks. And then on top of that, you got North Carolina coming to town. So this is your best crack to get in the bowl eligibility. But Georgia Tech has been a freaky team. They haven't been the best. They haven't been the most impressive, but they have weeks to where they beat a team like Miami, and then they also have weeks where they come down and lose to Boston College by 15. Nobody really knows the true definition of this team. Vegas ultimately does not seem to care much. They're going 14.5 Clemson favor. Chooch, will it be time for the Georgia Tech upset, or will Clemson rebound, lick their wounds, and be ready to go?
What's that thing we said last week about Dabo and them Tigers? If they needed a win, they were going to get it, right?
Yep.
Now, I mean, Dabo could keep the pressure on. They're 2-4 in conference. But on the other side of this, Georgia Tech is kind of Dabo's kryptonite when he needs things done. Remember the perfect season a couple years ago? Georgia Tech said, hold my beer. I think they did it twice in a 5-year span, a little bit. This team's better. King is an incredible quarterback. The kid, listen, he's 22 touchdowns to 10 picks. That's more than what Klubnik has. I mean, obviously, Clemson's been kind of a shit show this year. Just going to say it.
Did beat Notre Dame a week ago, too.
Oh, I mean, okay. Like we said, Dabo and his boys needed a win. He got the win. Georgia Tech's in a weird spot. They haven't been this close to a bowl in
It's been a while.
a very long time. So I'm taking the Yellow Jackets in an upset. I don't think fake Death Valley is going to be as loud as we think it is. I think Georgia Tech's ready. Listen, they went into UVA. They beat UVA. I'm not saying UVA is good, but what I am saying is you still went on the road. Also, you beat Miami because Miami beat themselves, but you still beat Miami on the road in Miami. And Clemson can shoot themselves in the foot. So I'm taking Georgia Tech here in a close one. I think they jump out to an early lead and Clemson kind of chips away the whole game. They just can't finish it. So, Yellow Jackets.
Oh man, I don't know. I love Georgia Tech. I love their story this year. I love the underdog mentality. But I also love Dabo Sweeney. I love his faith. Love when he always says we build this program in the name, image, and likeness of Jesus Christ. That's beautiful. I think he's going to rally the troops and they're going to be ready for this game. And it's at Clemson. I know Georgia Tech has that road history, winning big games on the road. That ends this time. Clemson gets bowl eligible. Big win for Dabo and the guys. All right, next one, a game that is close to both of our hearts here, Chooch. Old Dominion and Liberty. Now, if you're wondering about the Liberty part, obviously the Old Dominion close to Chooch has been well documented. We know that. Liberty, this is their first time on the show this year.
Yeah.
And that is kind of unheard of because we usually bring them up at least 4 to 5 times a year. The Liberty Magic trend has not died. It started about 4 years ago, and it has continued to climb up mountains. Look at them now, 9-0, unranked. No respect to this Liberty team. Old Dominion would love nothing more than to knock off the undefeated Liberty Flames and get an upset, get one step closer to bowl eligibility, but is Liberty going to continue and maybe even end the season undefeated? What do you say, Chooch?
Well, so the headline for this game says Unbeaten Liberty puts perfect season on the line against ODU teams specializing in tight games. Now, that is the closest thing to the truth any ESPN writer's ever written about any game ever. In fact, whoever wrote that, good for you. You actually did something worth a damn. This ODU team lost to a superior JMU team by 3. They barely lost to Coastal last week on just heartbreak. Liberty, on the other hand, Liberty's kind of had a coast through most of their games. They kind of scored early and just coasted the rest of the way. I mean, mid-10 they won by
7?
7. Can't do math today. 7. So I don't know. I'm taking the Monarchs here. Yeah, they've lost 2 straight, but something just says ODU's finding their stride, and I think they win a close game because this defense is better than people give them credit for. They're super athletic. The offense is fun to watch. Yeah, Liberty's fun to watch too, and all that. But honestly, Cole, who have they played?
It's a good question.
You're 9-0. You're 9-0 against Bowling Green, New Mexico State, Buffalo, FIU,
Sam Houston State,
Jacksonville State. Mid-10, you won
Mid-10.
by 7. You beat Western Kentucky, and you housed La Tech. You still gave up 30 in that game. So I'm taking ODU.
Listen, ODU, they're definitely prepared. They're ready for this game. But I can't pick against it. I can't do it. I gotta go Liberty, man. It grew with the show. It's like we grew up together, man. How can I pick against that? Liberty. They find a way to win this game. Keep doing your thing, Flames. We love you. They gotta be my second favorite team in college football.
James Madison.
That's fair.
That's my number
fair.
2.
All right, moving on to a Pac-12 game here, and we got Arizona finally ranked. They had to beat 10,000 teams that were in the top 25 convincingly to get here. So Arizona, I've been talking you up all year. You deserve it.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to warn you, keep it. Because Colorado, yes, they lost the last 2 games, but they've been close. They lost by 12 to UCLA. They had their hearts ripped out in a double overtime game against Stanford. They lost by 7 to a good Oregon State team. Be careful. It is in Boulder. This crowd will be going electric. They want bowl eligibility, and they need 2 wins. With that being said, it's the battle of the hot Arizona team versus a pissed off Colorado team. Deion Sanders has been incredibly vocal about this team. Even them getting into fights, I think he kind of mentioned it as play fighting. As in practice, he says it's a good habit. This team is ready for an upset moment like this at their own home, but Arizona's a 10-point favorite. Both teams need this to continue on their paths. Who gets it, Jude?
I'm going to say it right now. Colorado's offense is far too one-dimensional. It's pass the ball and run around with Shadir all you can. I'm going to point something out to you folks here, and I'm going to bring this mic nice and close and get this screen a little closer to me. Bring it in. We're in already. Arizona has 1 regulation loss this year, and that was by 7 to Washington.
Wow.
They lost in overtime to Mississippi State in Mississippi State. They lost in triple overtime to USC by 2. They haven't lost by more than 7 points all year. They've also handedly taken care of business. They went into Washington State and beat them by, well, a lot. And yeah, the Oregon State, and honestly, I didn't expect them to beat UCLA last week at first. Actually, I'm pretty sure I picked Arizona at the end. Anyways, that's not the point of this. The point of this memo here is to say, Colorado, Deion, yeah, this is going to be your worst year, but 1-6 in conference, and Arizona got better before you could even make a massive impact to Colorado is kind of upsetting because I don't know if y'all remember this, but Arizona's been garbage for a hot minute.
Forever.
And literally the last 3 games last year, they're like, football, it's a thing here. We're not a basketball school anymore. So they showed up. I'm thinking the Wildcats because, I just got faith in this Arizona team. Colorado, a little undisciplined still. There's a lot of kinks that Deion's still going to iron out. He knows that. We know that. We know he knows that. But at the end of the day, I think Arizona is in a better spot with this team. I think they're clicking. They're rolling. Fafita, listen, the kid's fantastic. He's a very underrated quarterback, and this Arizona team is a sleeper to maybe win a decent bowl game this year. So, and they're ranked for the first time in probably since NCAA 13 came out. So,
yeah,
Arizona.
Well, listen, it's in Boulder. They got Coach Prime. He's got glasses on. You ever see them shades? Beautiful.
He's got his buff shades on.
Oh, yes. He's got that big hat, and he talks like this. He's all business, all excitement. He loves
Y'all can't come in here and expect me to do the work for you when you're the ones on the field.
Go hop in that portal, baby.
We don't need you.
I love his motivation. Love it. I mean, he's exciting, but he's not ready for this game. Arizona destroys Colorado. This will not be a game. Arizona continues to show the world they're the best 3-loss team in college football, and they run through Colorado. Run through them. It 20 plus, 24 plus at least. All right, next game here we got Appalachian State taking on Georgia State. Georgia State 6-3, App State 5-4. A lot of fight left in the season. Obviously, App State has to get one more for bowl eligibility. Georgia State, they got a showdown coming with LSU that they have to get ready for. Maybe they look a little even ahead to that game and kind of bypass this one. I mean, they got to be where they want to be. They're bowl eligible, and they are even fighting for that Sun Belt. Could make an appearance. So ultimately, Georgia State's a 2-point home favorite. Not a lot of faith in either of these teams. Chooch, where are you going? Will it be App State getting bowl eligible, or will Georgia State continue to make that impressive campaign to the LSU game?
So,
Oh, would you fix the ticker too?
oh yeah, sorry, sir, I was doing something. So I do have a point to make here. App State does an incredible job of getting way more out of their quarterbacks than most people should. 182, 286, 2,400 yards, 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions is what Aguilar is posting right now.
Wow.
Noel, now usually this is a very balanced team. This is App State's kind of hit me in weird spots with some inconsistencies. Yeah, the 3-point loss to Coastal and 7-point loss to ODU. They're teams you usually play those games close with. I mean, you still lost by 6 in double overtime again to North Carolina. You'll beat them at some point. And then the 3-point loss to Wyoming at Wyoming, that's another good team to play against and lose. So App State's lost to good teams this year. I expect Georgia State to hang out in this one. I think, like you said, they're looking ahead, and they're kind of hurt after that JMU beatdown handed to them. And the one Georgia Southern put on them beforehand. Yeah, I'm taking the Mountaineers.
All right. I'm going opposite side of the fence here. I'm going Georgia State because I think that they kind of almost look at those beatdowns and they go, we can't let this happen again. We have to play for us. We have to kind of get back on track. And I think this is the game you kind of see them refine their footing. And Granger, their quarterback, gets back into the flow that we saw earlier on in the season. They get a big win here against App State. All right, next one here. We have a game that used to be a pretty big deal back in the day. Miami and Florida State. These two teams used to hate each other. It used to be a battle. You'd expect maybe some very serious injuries whenever these two teams played. You expected fighting. Let's just say times have changed to where you kind of look at this game anymore and you go, I mean, they got some cool hand signals. Nobody else really cares about anything else in this game. But Florida State is undefeated. They're 9-0, fourth in the nation, 7-0 in conference play, and they would love nothing more to continue on their conquest to an ACC title game and maybe in that Final Four shot at a national championship. It's definitely doable, but Miami, they're 6-3. They have a weird tendency of playing up to teams that they really shouldn't. And then they also have a tendency of playing down and losing games that they shouldn't. So they are a weird bunch, but it is kind of the Mario Cristobal special. Nothing new there if you follow him, even somewhat. Florida State's a 14-point home favorite. Not too many people giving Miami a shot. Chooch, will you give the Hurricanes a shot in this game?
See, I don't know. I really just want to sit here and go, oh, we can't do that anymore.
Supposedly.
We're all soft and don't like college football and traditions because this is literally this hand coming up. If you can see it, this hand coming up or this hand and just, that's the best thing in sports. Just going to say it right now, but at the end of the day, FSU's offense has a habit of not starting out fast. They start off way too slow. I think Miami makes them pay in this game, and the Hurricanes edge out a close one. Florida State's offense gets going late. The defense hangs them in it. Miami just wins it.
Whoa.
Yep.
Oh,
Ring the alarm! We're the Hurricane coming through.
wow.
Yep.
All right, so if you remember last week, we talked about this Florida State team, and I said, will they lose this game? And I did the no with the chop. But this week it's different, right? I mean, Miami, it's a rivalry game. Mario Cristobal's built for this. And oh, wait, no, I'm just kidding. He's a joke of a coach. Sorry, folks. Florida State, big in this one. Jordan Travis gets it together. Those wide receivers get in the groove, and Mario Cristobal once again shows the world why he's not a great football coach. He's a good recruiter, just cannot coach worth a darn. Sorry, folks. All right, next one here. We got a Pac-12 showdown. The Utah Utes versus the Washington Huskies. This game is pretty interesting, to say the least. Washington, in a track meet against USC, struggled against Stanford, barely got by against Arizona State, and won in a very close game against Oregon, and survived against Arizona. The name of the game for Washington is survival. Doesn't matter, just win. Utah, on the other hand, they had a depressing loss to Oregon State. They came back, beat Cal, beat USC by 2, got absolutely hammered by the Ducks of Oregon, and then had a good comeback win 55-3 against a not so great Zona State team. Washington's an 8.5-point favorite here. Many people still consider Michael Penix to be maybe even the best quarterback in college football. But, Chooch, you know as well as I do, Kyle Whittingham has a history of getting Utah ready and winning in games that, honestly, they shouldn't. But they find ways to win, especially against elite quarterbacks. What do you say?
Yeah, man, if there was ever a game this week to flip a coin on, it's this one. Like you said, Utah has a habit of just being ready. but Washington's I don't man, there's so much to talk about in this game. Like Washington should be the 4 or the 3 or the 2. Utah probably should be a little higher as a 2-loss team, considering you lost to Oregon State and Oregon. Whatever. They're both good football teams. Yeah, you only put up 7 and 6 in those 2 games, but I digress. The quarterback regime change. I'm assuming Rising isn't coming back next year, unless you can find some magic NCAA stipulation to pull off a hat.
I've heard his name is now Rising Cam.
Here is a 9th year. Just saying. Or 10th year, whatever year it is. He's been in college for a while. He's actually had a longer college career than Johnny Manziel had a pro career. So
Oof.
At the end of the day, though, I think the Huskies, Penix Jr. is the reason this Husky team is so good. That and that uber athletic defense. Just so much fun to watch play football. I'm taking Washington. I think they learned a lot last week. They played a really good offense, and the defense was able to hunker down. You win that one. Huskies in a close one against the Utes. Utes' first 3-loss season in like 5 years.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Washington. Escape. But what do you do when you can't escape? You lose. And this is the week. This is the time Kyle Whittingham is going to have his team ready. Upset in Seattle. Give me the Utes to pull this one out. That defense is going to give hassle to this Washington offense. It's going to be close late, and Utah does enough to get back in that Pac-12 race. Go Utes. All right, next one we got an SEC showdown. The number 13 Tennessee Volunteers go in and play the Missouri Tigers. Both teams incredibly similar, 7-2, both record 3-2 in conference. And honestly, it's kind of the middle of the road bowl, I guess you could say, because Tennessee's like the middle of the SEC East. Missouri's kind of there too. They both want to increase, but neither team can really take that top spot away from Georgia. So, kind of looking like a lost cause so far. However, Tennessee does have a game in Knoxville against Georgia, possibly could sneak their way back into the conversation of representing the East in Atlanta. A lot at stake here for Tennessee. Missouri kind of just maybe get a 10-win season and call it a year. That's kind of what it's looking like. Maybe a New Year's Six Bowl, which is pretty good considering where Eli Drinkowitz started in his coaching career at Missouri. Ultimately, Tennessee's a 2.5-point road favorite. Can they get it done, Chooch, on the road, or will it be Missouri and Drinkowitz continuing to make a strong statement on the year?
I'm just going to come out and say I think it's Missouri and Drinkowitz coming out and keeping up what they're doing. I think Tennessee just a little down. They're going to struggle on the road in this game. I just think Missouri because they're home. That's all it is. Tennessee's going to struggle to get going on the road. Missouri because they're home. That's just Heupel's thing. Struggle on the road. Struggle to get going. Missouri's good enough. They win this one.
Kind of stole my thunder there, but here's what I was going to bring up anyways. Chooch, do you remember the last two games that this Tennessee team played on the road?
No.
Well, they lost to Alabama by 14, and they beat Kentucky by 6.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't look very good.
No.
Missouri, on the other hand, their last two games at home, because we're going to flip the script here since they're home, they killed South Carolina. They won 34-12. They lost to LSU by 10. It's kind of an even split, but one team looked a little bit better in their respective games. So I'm going to go for that reason with the Tigers of Missouri and Drinkowitz. He has done quite the job at Missouri. He's got this team recognized. They believe again in the program, probably for the first time since either Blaine Gabbert or Chase Daniels, whatever was last. And yeah, look out for this Mizzou team. They're a fun group. All right. Next game here, we got a probable snooze fest. Rutgers and Iowa. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, wait, why would you say snooze fest? They have a combined losses of 5, and they have a combined wins of 13. I mean, how could you say that? I'm talking about the offenses. Iowa, they really don't score. You're lucky if you see, maybe 13 points out of the Hawkeyes offense. As for Rutgers, they do score a little bit more. I mean, out of the last 5 games, their top was 27 against Michigan. 31. Oh my goodness. 52 against Wagner. I was looking at the wrong spot. Sorry, folks. My brain just absolutely died. But it was against Wagner. Iowa's top was against Michigan State when they scored 26. But ultimately, the last few games is what I'm talking about. They scored 15 against Wisconsin. They scored 10 against Minnesota. They scored 10 against Northwestern. And also, you might be thinking, surely they lost all 3 of those. No, they won 2 of them. They won the Wisconsin game. They won the Northwestern game. And it's just because of that great defense that they're so trademarked for. Iowa's a 1.5-point home favorite. Can Rutgers be that team, aside from Minnesota, to beat this Iowa defense, or will that defense hold up enough for that win to come back to Hawkeyeville? What do you say, Juge?
So, like, I'm conflicted because Rutgers' offense is decent enough to maybe give Iowa's defense a struggle, but Iowa's defense is fantastic enough to, I mean, they just kind of erase any semblance of offense anyone has unless your name's Penn State. With that being said, Iowa's playing for a lot right now. I think they're trying to kind of get over the, okay, we can just kind of bridge our way to a quarterback here and we're good to go. I mean, McNamara is 505 yards passing. So something's got to change in Iowa. Cool, 7-2 is great, but what the hell does it mean when you got no stinking offense? None. So
0.
I'm thinking Iowa simply because of the defense. Also, by the way, they should have won that Minnesota game. They got hosed.
You're not wrong about that.
This should be an 8-1 team.
Yeah, I'm with you though. Iowa wins this game. Defense outdoes the Rutgers offense. Expect another snoozer though. I think this game could be like 9-3 final. So don't expect a lot of offensive fireworks here. All right, next one here. Speaking of usually a snoozing team, but this year done a little bit better. Northwestern 4-5 still has a chance to be bowl eligible. 2-4 in conference. They've had some games go their way. They had that incredible comeback against Minnesota earlier in the year where they were down by like 30 and ended up coming back and winning. Then you fast forward to the recent part. They beat Maryland by 6, lost to Iowa by 3, 10-7, just could not get over the hump. Wisconsin, on the other hand, they started promising, and then they played Iowa. They caught that loss at home to Camp Randall. Then they went on the road, beat Illinois by 4, and then they played Ohio State, lost by 14, and most depressingly, lost to Indiana on the road by 6. Huge. Both of these teams need at least one win to get in bowl eligibility. Will it be Wisconsin, or will Northwestern make their case to be one more game away from being bowl eligible? Wisconsin's a 10-point favorite in Camp Randall.
Wisconsin's defense, I think, wins this one. Northwestern's got a bit of hiccups on the offensive side. They kind of struggle a little bit here and there. Play calling is a little suspect. Quarterback play is hit or miss sometimes. The running game is almost non-existent. But the defense wins some games, sort of. But anyways, like I was saying, Badgers. I was at this lady's house the other day laying cable, and she was a Badgers fan. We're talking about football, and she said, I like this Luke Fickle guy. He's going to lead us to promised land. I said, only if he can get that cheesehead luck out of his way and actually advance past a conference championship, then they could do it. But I'm taking Fickle and the Badgers. I think Mordecai's only got 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, but he just needs to be worked with Fickle. Fickle's proven to kind of develop guys. So he's looking to do it. Yep, it beat me to it. So I'm taking whiskey.
Good pick. Wisconsin wins this game. They do it with defense and that running attack. Braylon Allen is still a beast. I don't care what anybody says. That guy, watch him play football. He is fun. And he continues the lineage of really fun Wisconsin backs. So, gotta love that.
He was a linebacker. I don't know if you guys knew that after the 7,000 times it's been said the last 2 years.
What? He was a linebacker?
Mm-hmm.
No way. You gotta love cheap talking points on TV.
Yep. He was a linebacker. Yeah, you've told me 3 times this drive.
Yeah, do they really have nothing better to talk about in Wisconsin football? Because, come on, man, at least talk about the game, talk about the weather. Don't say the same thing 5 million times. All right, on to the next one. We got a Sun Belt battle between 2 teams that are 6-3 and are fighting for a shot at the Sun Belt title. Texas State, with their quarterback TJ Finley, has been pretty explosive and fun to watch. They've been up down though. The defense has not done them a whole lot of favors. But last week they did enough. as Texas State dropped 45, and their defense held a pretty good Georgia Southern team to 24 points. Coastal Carolina, 4-game win streak. They'd love to make it 5. Texas State's a 2.5-point road favorite. Not a lot of respect for the Chanticleers. What do you say, Chooch?
I think that's fair based on what we've seen from Coastal at points this year. They've been the best team in the Sun Belt. They've looked like their old self. But also, I mean, Texas State's kind of done the same thing. They've been good, and they haven't. They've lost to teams they probably should have beat. They've beaten teams they might have. I mean, they probably should have lost that Georgia Southern game, but that's between us and me, and that's between all of us here watching, talking. Coastal, though, I'm taking because they seem to have a different fight in this team. This isn't the typical Coastal team where we're going to beat you with talent. We kind of got to think about it now to win. So, taking Coastal.
I like that. Coastal, they're really, really fun team. Really good, sound team. But Texas State, in my opinion, has got the offense churning in the right direction, and I think they keep up what they did last week to Georgia Southern, and in my opinion, a little bit better of a defense than Coastal. So I think they continue. TJ Finley, I don't know what the heck happened to him, following his whole career, but he just looks comfortable. He just looks like, hey, this is home. So I think he continues that and gets this team their 7th win on the season. Sometimes that change of scenery is all it takes. So
yeah,
good for
maybe
him.
not having all that expectation on your back is, sometimes you got to run away from your your stuff to find your mojo.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, congrats to him. Speaking of congrats, Sam Pittman, everybody. First SEC win of the year came in Gainesville against the Florida Gators. If you're an Arkansas fan, you kind of sigh at that. You go, man, it was a good win, but it should have been sooner and we should be better. Arkansas fans, we sympathize with you a little bit. Still don't like you fully because, Golden Boot, but we respect you a little bit more. And beating Florida is always a thumbs up, so way to go.
Yeah.
Auburn, on the other hand, they're in a weird spot. They win, then they lose. Then they lose 3 in a row, and then they win 2 in a row. Is this the time where, because right now they're on that 2-game win streak, they beat Miss State, they beat Vandy, they're looking a little bit better, but is this the point where the losing streak comes back? Because that's been their whole season. It's been up, down, up, down. They don't have stability. Arkansas obviously needs to win out. They need 3 wins in a row to get bowl eligible. They've done it before, but can they do it against this Auburn team who is also fighting for bowl eligibility? Sam Pittman, a lot of concern about his job, his seat, definitely heating up in the eyes of the Arkansas faithful. Chooch, both of these teams could really use this win, but only one will get it. Arkansas's 2-point home favorite. Might even be 1.5 by the time it kicks off. Who do you got?
So I get why Arkansas is favored by 2 points because they haven't been blown out in a loss this year. But Hugh Freeze has this Auburn team prepared. Thorne is, as he said, the most ready for this Auburn offense. Hold on, I'll give you the exact words here. He's the most prepared for the Auburn offense. So that tells you Hugh Freeze is doing all of this with a guy that can probably gel into the system but don't fit the system. I'm just going to put that out there now.
Right.
And that says a lot for the coach on that sideline. I'm not saying Pittman's bad. I'm just saying that I think Freeze is better than Pittman by a decent amount, and it's going to show this game. I think Freeze is ready for this. These Tigers are ready. The war chickens. We're going to call them war chickens from now on.
I like that.
I think the War Chickens walk into Pig Suey Land and they give them Hogs a run for the money and win the close one.
All right. I'm a little sentimental. I love Sam Pittman. I think his story's awesome. He really loves the program. And this team wants to fight for him. So I'm going to ride the Arkansas undefeated for the next 3 weeks train. We're going Hogs. Let's do this. Go out there, shock some people, win this game to start. And no diss on Hugh Freeze. Love Hugh Freeze. He's a really good coach, but he's a year away or maybe 2 years away from really getting to where he wants to be with this Auburn team. And I think it reflects. I think Arkansas is a little bit more far along. And I think that defense is going to make some plays and kind of swing the game in favor of the backs. All right, next one here. We got a Big 12 game. West Virginia, by the way, just in case, nobody told you, because nobody really talks about it for whatever reason, they're 6-3. So great job by Neil Brown getting this team to a point to where many thought they should have been a few years ago, but they're here now and they're looking to build off of it. Oklahoma, they've been not very stable the last few weeks. You had that close scare to UCF, and then you played Kansas, and, well, that scare turned into a horror film. And then you play Bedlam, which could be the last Bedlam ever, and you lose by 3 to the Gundy squad. Not looking great for Venables. I mean, 7 wins is pretty good, but for where Oklahoma wants to be, you're not quite there. Not to mention, it's not going to get easier because you're coming to the SEC next year, so get ready for that. West Virginia, on the other hand, 2-game win streak, and they are looking to continue to build. And if they could get this win on the road in Norman, this would be a major part in the Neil Brown era. Can it happen, Chooch, or will it be the Sooners taking this one?
So West Virginia, I think I said this earlier in the year. I got to watch West Virginia game. I believe it was the West. Hold on, I'll tell you actually which game it was when I see the schedule here. It was the West Virginia Texas Tech game. West Virginia's got a lot of fight. A lot of fight. This is honestly a better team than people give them credit for. Garrett Green, hell of a quarterback. Yeah, he's a junior, but just when you watch this kid play, watch how he puts the throws in spots that only his receivers can get it. If it's a pick, then it's probably tipped. He doesn't make bad decisions. He takes care of the football. Dylan Gabriel's the same way. But I think OU's offense is better than West Virginia's offense by a margin. And Oklahoma's defense is going to help them win this game. It's Venables. I mean, you can't say anything. You can't not talk about the defense and have them really talk about Oklahoma. So I'm taking Oklahoma here. That's going to be closer than people give them credit for, than people think it is. But Oklahoma beats West Virginia. West Virginia tries to rally late and lose.
Man, I really hate to do this. I love what Neil Brown has done. I know a lot of the fan base gave up on him, last year, especially heading into this year. Seems like every loss they want him gone anymore, which is beyond me, especially where West Virginia was. But Neil, I'm sorry, buddy. This is going to be a loss, and it's going to be a painful one. Oklahoma, the last 2 weeks losing. They're going to come off of that losing streak, and they're going to dominate this football game, in my opinion. I think West Virginia's going to fight, but Oklahoma ends up winning this one pretty big. Sorry, Neil. All right, next one here, we got an SEC matchup, and, well, let's just say both of these programs have seen better days this season. Florida 5-4 coming off of the loss in overtime at home in the Swamp to Arkansas. And of course, just not a great game against Georgia, one they probably don't want to talk about, so we're not going to talk about it too much. Graham Mertz has seemingly found his rhythm, 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, doing a lot better than any of us thought he would be during the season, and the run game seems to be getting to a point to where Billy Napier foresaw it coming. LSU, on the other hand, well, you had 3 games winning streak with wins over Missouri and Auburn, and then you played Alabama and you forgot how to play defense. You forgot that you could spy a quarterback on third down, especially. You had Jaden Daniels get taken out towards the end of the game, which wasn't called. Go figure. It was Alabama, though, so don't be surprised. With all that being said, Jaden Daniels is marked as probable. Kelly said he might play. We don't know what that means. Is he playing? Will it be Garrett Nussmeier? A lot of the LSU faithful say let Jaden Daniels sit out the rest of the year, get him prepared for the NFL. Don't risk an injury. And that would be kind of logical. But you got to admire Jaden Daniels' fight to even want to come back after a hit like that. So give him his props. Still, many people say should be the Heisman. A lot of people still hold to that belief. The big worries in this game, of course, for LSU is can they stop the run? Last week says no. Will Matt House call a good game? Last week says hell no. Will the offense click in critical moments? Logic says no. Their offense is still good. Mike Denbrock has done a pretty good job. Will Garrett Nussmeier, most likely, like I said, getting the start, but we'll have to see for kickoff. It is still a game time decision. Get the start and do well, or will it be Jaden Daniels returning to that form that we saw minus the Bama game? LSU's a 15-point home favorite. Night kickoff in Death Valley, 6:30. Chooch, I'm going to let you get the first crack.
So I don't get this Jaden Daniels Heisman stuff. Has anyone watched any of his games? Do we not see how confused he looks at times, or some of the decisions he makes, or the drops he's got, the fumbles?
Box score watchers, man, they're contagious.
Like, come on. Yeah, the kid's good. I'll give him his credit where it's due. The kid's good, but he's not what Mariota was.
Nope.
Mariota could do that and get away with it because, well, I mean, he's elite. I'm not saying Jaden isn't, but if I'm Coach Kelly, I'm sitting Jaden for this game. You need to protect the kid's brain.
Yep.
We've seen what these injuries can do to people. We had a whole conversation about this last year about Tua and his scrambled egg brains. Don't be that coach. You're a coach. You're supposed to protect these kids from themselves. Start Nuss, take it in stride. At least you get a rivalry game with Nuss to see what he does. Florida, like you said, and the Mertz point, we said this beginning of the year, we didn't think Mertz was going to be worth a damn. Apparently, Sunbelt Billy's got this thing with quarterbacks, and it wasn't Mertz's problem. So Mertz wasn't the problem where he was. So that answers that question. I'm just going to say it now. The kids shut both of us up for sure. But the center needs to be better for LSU. You can't do whatever you were doing last week. Stop it. Stop it. You alone shot us in the foot 3 different times when we were getting momentum. So, I mean, honestly, if you want to blame that game, it's the not calling the targeting call on Buddy Boy, I'm just going to call him Vontez Perfect because he is. And the center needs to be better. I don't know why you're making those mistakes. You're a center. What is that? What is a snap? Bring it back. Snap again. That's not anyone knows it's not legal.
Not even in Little League.
Literally not even in flag football. Like, come on, guys. But LSU wins this one close because it's in Baton Rouge. I think if it was on the road, they would struggle a little bit. But LSU Tigers win this one. It's closer than we think it's going to be. Go Tigers.
Oh wow. I don't know. I genuinely, for the first time in my LSU watching career, I don't know. I genuinely do not know what this team is anymore. And I've said this consistently for the last few weeks. They could get blown out, and I would not be surprised. They could blow out. I would not be surprised. They could win by one. I would not be shocked. Florida could win by one. I wouldn't be shocked. I genuinely have no clue what this team is anymore. I mean, the coordinators don't look like they give a damn. Brian Kelly, his quote unquote preparation, I haven't seen this team be prepped at all. I'm just going to be honest. Florida State, I couldn't find it. Southern, you were supposed to beat the hell out of Southern. Like, how could you say preparation for that game? I don't even know. Mississippi State, okay, maybe I'll say that one. If I had to pick a game this year to where you actually connected on all cylinders and looked like the team you were supposed to be, that is the game I would say. Arkansas, after that, you didn't play defense, and that was a common theme throughout the year. I genuinely, I don't know. Since I'm an LSU fan, I'm gonna say LSU wins. I hope. Because if you lose, we need to have a talk as a fan base, as a team. I don't know. But yeah, Tigers win. They get it together, and hopefully we can go 10-3 and make a bowl game and end up winning the bowl game. I mean, I don't know how realistic that is with Matt House still here, but and also I do want to say this here: if Matt House is not fired at the end of this year, at least, Brian Kelly, you're gonna have some questions to answer because what the hell is he doing?
Also,
Mike Denbrock.
Go ahead.
Oh, go.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Mike
You're on.
Denbrock's been good, but he's been baffling at times. Like the Ole Miss game, for example, on the last drive. Like, why are you not getting the ball to your star guys, even if it's over the middle? The clock stops within 2 minutes. I don't know if he knew that, but I did, and I don't get paid. Yeah, so I heard this from a fan last Saturday. He goes, "How can you even blame Denbrock? He has the best offense in college." Yeah, okay, he does. But in critical moments, if he's not good, who gives a shit? I mean, you're not going to win many games like that. You might win and beat the teams you're supposed to, but you sure as hell aren't beating Alabama. You're not going to beat Florida State. Hey, anybody see what Mike Norvell did? He turned it around. Brian, it's on you, buddy. I'm not giving up. I'm not saying fire you yet. But you got some things to do. And if you don't, then we might talk about being fired for somebody else. But we're ways away from that so far. I'm just trying to tell you, this is kind of like your middle of the line warning from me, which doesn't mean anything. Get your shit together, or believe me, we will have that conversation on this stream about you being gone. If you don't, this is your warning. But yeah, Tigers win this one, hopefully. All right, next game here, Texas and TCU. And I was just informed a few seconds ago by Chooch, Quinn Ewers is back for this game. Big news for the Texas Longhorns. That's huge because he had a phenomenal season, of course, up till the injury, and Malik Murphy did a pretty okay job. It was a little shaky at times, especially in the Kansas State game a week ago, but they found a way to keep winning. They still have a very much real opportunity to be in the college football playoffs, but TCU, for whatever reason, always is a thorn in Texas's side. Can they knock off Texas here on the road, Chooch? What do you think? Well, TCU's at home. I kind of worded that poorly.
I know what you meant. Don't worry. Yeah, TCU welcomes in Texas here in this rivalry. So I said a thing, I think it was last season or 2 seasons ago, about Wake Forest and North Carolina being a fun game, and you never know who's going to win. This is that rivalry. Now, I think Texas is kind of a few leaps ahead of TCU currently, but that's because they have arguably the best quarterback in the nation, who also still has 400 more yards than TCU's quarterback.
Wow.
And he missed 2 weeks. Yeah. He's also got one more touchdown than him. Just saying, Quinn Ewers is that good. So, but I expect a lot more of the run game. Texas has a fantastic run game. They also have probably two of the top 10 defensive tackles in football on their defensive line. So, but Quinn and the boys and Sark get it done. I don't think this is one is as close as we think it is. I think it starts off fast and furious, but Texas calms it down, slows it down, and yeah, they just beat TCU.
Yeah, Texas, one thing I will say, they beat Kansas State through the run, and they've been able to manhandle up front, especially with the quarterbacks not being there. So I think we do see that, like Cheech was saying, TCU is going to get out hot. That passing attack's going to look good for a little bit, but Texas slows it down, plays their game, and outmans TCU in this one. So yeah, give me the horns as well. All right, next one here. We got a basketball rivalry turned football as the Duke Blue Devils take on the North Carolina Tar Heels. And both these teams kind of similar. I mean, they both had some really good moments and then some moments that really just put a knife in their fan base's hearts. Duke, of course, losing to Florida State, getting manhandled by Louisville, and having a heart-wrenching defeat by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. North Carolina, on the other hand, gets upset by Virginia at home, gets upset again by Georgia Tech on the road, but they did have a what the doctor ordered game against Campbell where they dropped 59 points and they looked like how they should. Mac Brown might have some questions to answer at the end of the season, but as for now, pretty heavy favorite at home against a rival. Can they get it done, Chooch?
So I would say that Duke would have a chance in this one, but okay, everyone, Zay Flowers is back for North Carolina, and since then the team, they have 2 losses, like we said, to Virginia.
Walker.
Tez Walker, I mean, sorry.
I was
don't know
gonna
why.
say Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers is in Baltimore. Just kidding. Tez Walker's back, and this kid changed literally the whole complexion of Drake May. Literally, Drake May got this kid back, and it was like, oh, right, I'm a gunslinger again. Watch. I want Duke to make this one close, but North Carolina's just good enough. I mean, Mac Brown might find a way to lose this one, but it ain't going to be for the team. Ain't going to be the team losing. It's going to be play calling that loses this game for North Carolina. If they lose, I'm taking the Heels. Beat the Blue Devils, please, because basketball season's coming up, and I don't think you guys could take 3 losses in a year to Duke and 2 big sports. So, just saying.
I'm gonna say this. Usually, Jacob is the one who steals my my thunder. Today, Chooch has twice. This was the second one.
We're just getting back to it. That's all.
Right. North Carolina wins because Drake May is really revitalized with Walker back. That's what I was gonna say. So I'm gonna say it again. In this offense, I think has a fun way of dropping at least 50 on this Duke team. And like I said, Duke, it's sorry, it was a feel-good story for a little bit, but you just don't have what it takes to win a game like this anymore. All right, next one here, we got an SEC West showdown. Mississippi State and Texas 8-4. Wait a minute, not 8-4 anymore. What? Texas blank and blank. Maybe 5-4. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That works a lot better. Because you still got the fast guy who's Jimbo Fisher, who always has them quick responses in the room, and let's just say Texas A&M, they've had enough. Their fan base not really happy with how the season's gone. All that talent just to go 5-4, spending all that money on the number one recruiting class a year ago just to go 5-4. Not ideal if you're an Aggie fan. And this was the year where you had a lot of potential with Bobby Petrino coming in. Maybe they would be who they could be, but no. Mississippi State, on the other hand, Arnett's done a pretty okay job. Obviously, not to the way that the folks in Stark Vegas would like, but it's his first year, so we'll be gentle. 4-5 versus 5-4. The main topic of the day returns: bowl eligibility. Will A&M secure that, or will it be Mississippi State edging a little closer? Because remember, Texas A&M, they don't really miss a bowl very often. They would like to gain bowl eligibility. Last time they were not in a bowl was when they opted out against Wake Forest. What do you say, Chief?
So I'm going to take A&M here simply for the fact the talent difference in this game. Yeah, Jimbo can't seem to coach the talent difference at all. Actually, can he coach still? That's a good question. I think the guy he's got calling his offense is a far better coach than he is and will ever be. But with that being said, A&M comes in here, the talent, and like you said, they're thirsty for another bowl game. They can easily go 8-3, 9-3 this year, and 11-3 with the bowl game. So taking the Aggies. Sorry, 4 losses, not 3. I read that wrong. I was reading the conference thing when I was saying that. But
Close
I'm
enough.
taking the Aggies because of the talent. That's all it is. Aggies talent.
Okay, so I do want to make a correction. Last time Texas A&M was not in a bowl game was actually last year. It just the LSU game kind of felt like a bowl game to me, so that's why I made the quick change there.
Yeah,
Texas A&M.
it was definitely a bowl game for you.
Oh yeah.
No one.
Oh, yeah.
If anyone watched the game with him, you'll understand.
Yeah, they were doing things that night that they'd never did the whole season.
That's the game where
So
people go, "Why don't you like Jaden Daniels?" I point him to that game.
yeah, he well, I won't say single-handedly,
Kinda.
but he played a huge part in that loss.
What, like 3 turnovers in the first half?
Well, yeah, not impressive offense, and then keeping a read option that if he handed it off was a touchdown. But hey, who's keeping score
You
here?
know, when you want to do things by yourself, all by yourself. Wait, go
Yeah.
ahead. I'll get us in
No,
trouble.
you're good. Texas A&M though, I'm gonna keep it rather short. That they win, like you just saying, they got talent, and I just think Javi Petrino is gonna be like, all right, listen, Jimbo, please just let me call the offense. We're gonna score like over 50, so can you just maybe sit in there, ask some questions with the press. I'll take over. So yeah, give me A&M. All right, next one here, and we got some new blood on this podcast for the first time in a while. Rice, 4-5, battling again for that magical term called bowl eligibility. They're a fun team to watch. They're gutsy, and JT Daniels, that's a name that again has not been brought up since the Georgia days, is really fighting hard for this group. Unfortunately, heartbreakers in the last two to Tulane and SMU, both close. UTSA, on the other hand, they have not really had too much of a struggle in any of their last few games, and they would love nothing more than to continue, maybe even make a better bowl game than what they were projected to be at the beginning of the year with the whole talent loss. UTSA's a 13.5 point favorite, and expect maybe this UTSA coach to be swooped up by a bigger program. He would not shock me. He is that good. What do you say, Chooch? Will Rice pull a shocker?
Yeah. Yeah. I listen. So, funny story. I follow a lot of these football programs on Instagram and on Facebook, and I'll tell you one thing: Rice is excited. They got JT, and it's like their football department was like, content, more content. You hear this, folks? More content. I'm bringing the mic out with me. More content. That's what they did. More content. I'll bring my mic back down so it sounds better. More content. And I'll tell you what, Rice, I don't know where you've been hiding this football team in the state of Texas. Whatever it is, keep it going. JT, you've apparently been the savior of the program. Rice hasn't won 4 games in this. I don't think Rice has won 4 games in the last 8 seasons total. So I'm gonna take UTSA here, and just they're gonna edge out Rice. I think Rice keeps it really close, but UTSA. See, faked you out.
Man, I love a good fake. I've done a few of those in my time here. I'm gonna do Rice winning this game because, like you were saying, I love JT Daniels. I love what he's brought to this program, and I think he's gonna have what it takes to hand UTSA their first conference loss. So give me them Owls. All right, next one here, USC Trojans taking on the Oregon Ducks. And on one side, if you're USC, it couldn't get much worse, is kind of what it seems. I mean, you're 7-3. You've come close, but you have not been the one to take away the victories. Oregon, on the other hand, ever since that Washington loss, they've been playing with a fire. They really haven't had too many close scares since then. 3 in a row, looking to make it 4. Can USC find it in their heart to beat Oregon? Caleb Williams was very emotional after the gun shootout with Washington, and again, just falling short. The defense did not have enough. However, this is their first game without Alex Grinch, who is their DC. Finally, the bad man might be gone. USC might have a defense. Is it going to show up in Autzen Stadium? And is USC going to fight on and knock off the Oregon hope of a BCS national championship? What do you say, Jude?
So Oregon's listen, Bo Nix is playing out of his mind this year. I don't think anyone can take that away. I honestly think he's a better quarterback than Caleb Williams. But Lincoln Riley has a great offense everywhere he goes. So, I don't expect immediate changes for this defense. I mean, if play calling is any better, then yes, I expect drastic changes. But guys got to execute in defense, and no one's executing. So it's more than just play calling at this point. It's legit coaching. I mean, Lincoln Riley's always had a problem with defense, having a defense. That being said, you're going into probably the toughest, actually, not probably, you're going into the toughest place to play on the West Coast. So I'm taking Oregon. I don't think this one's as close as people think it is. So I'm taking Oregon.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to go with you too. As much as I would like to see just utter chaos happen and USC win this game, I can't see it. USC's defense is too awful and Oregon's more complete. So give me the Ducks, and it's at home. So yeah. All right, next one here. We got another battle for that magical word today. Bowl eligibility. Iowa State 5-4, BYU 5-4. Winner goes to a bowl. Loser has a pretty significant chance of missing a bowl game because the schedule doesn't get much easier. Chooch, I'm gonna leave it rather easy. Which team goes bowling?
I don't really. You're going to make this easy when both teams are definitely mirror images of each other.
Yes.
Like, why do you do this to me?
Torture.
I'm going to take the Cyclones here for the simple fact that BYU's offense is far too one-dimensional. Any proper head coach would tee off on this BYU team, and they wouldn't be 5-4. They'd probably be 3-6. 3-6. So I like Slavis. He's good, but Becht is killing it for Iowa State. I like Sanders too. Higgins is a fantastic receiver. The defense steps up when they need to. They have a pretty decent linebacking core there. It's better than BYU's. I'm taking Iowa State.
Good pick. Iowa State wins this one, and it's huge for Dan Campbell because, wait, is his name Dan? That might not. I always think Dan Campbell for Iowa State. Why does that not sound right? Let me.
Because I don't think it is.
Let me do a double.
I got you. Look, I got you. Get on your point.
Okay, there we go. Matt Campbell. There we go. Got his name right this time. Not Dan. He's in Detroit. So yeah, Matt Campbell has got this team for many years and has lifted them higher than they could ever expect this year. Obviously, kind of a down year, but they would like to at least salvage the rest of the season, maybe go on a run, make a deep bowl, maybe even win 7 games, maybe 8 with a bowl win. So yeah, give me the Cyclones. They're going to play for Matt, and they really love him down there. If he ends up leaving this Iowa State program, expect them to go back to being like 3-9, 4-8. So yeah, no, I don't think they want that. Neither do I. I mean, it's fun when Iowa State is somewhat competitive. All right, next game here, and the game of the show. You all have been waiting for it. The number 9 Ole Miss Rebels head into Athens. Juge might be a little biased here. Got the lane train in the background. And oh man, how am I supposed to compete with that, folks? All right, Ole Miss looking pretty good. Only one loss on the season, and that loss, of course, came from the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Georgia undefeated. Everybody thought Brock Bowers is out. Georgia's going to struggle. They're going to lose 2 games. Well, newsflash for those people. They're still 9-0. They're still pretty good. Georgia's a 10.5-point home favorite. Carson Beck doesn't seem to be great, but in the moments he needs to be, he pulls it together and makes the play. Georgia, of course, that signature run offense that has worked on so many teams. Ole Miss, on the other hand, they're becoming a little bit more balanced. They used to be all pass, now it's pass and run. Judkins has certainly helped with that. Ole Miss's defense, they've had some interesting moments. They gave up 49 to LSU. Then you had given up 7 to Vandy. Then you had given up 35 to A&M. Then you had given up 20 and 21 to Arkansas and Auburn. Up and down, consistency nowhere to be found. Also, Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin is in a little bit of hot water, as the Lane Kiffin was caught on camera yelling at a player who was claiming mental health. He needed a break from the team, but Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin tried to contact him to talk because that is in your right. You can talk to your player within the 2-week period that they are allotted, but he ignored him. So when he came back, Lane Kiffin had some very explosive words for him and kicked him off the team. Now the player sues for $40 million. Chooch, is this hurting the Ole Miss case, and will Georgia end up capitalizing on a Ole Miss program that is looking 2 ways, almost fighting a 2-front war, if you will?
Listen, folks, You don't see professional athletes taking mental health days because I can't do this. Yeah, you're in school, cool, but these guys got families and kids and so on and so forth to worry about. Lane Kiffin's got a family to feed. He's got a dog to pet. He's probably got some cheerleader. I can't say that on TV.
No.
Anyways, folks, last week I picked Georgia to lose to Missouri, and I was 9 points off. Now, who do I pick this week? Am I going to pick Ole Miss? Who knows? You're probably judging by the lane train behind me and the land shark going on that I'm probably going to pick Lane Kiffin. And you'd be right. I'm going to. But here is my conflict in this pick. Ole Miss doesn't have the defense Mizzou does, but their offense is way better. But they're in Georgia. But that, what's it, 7-headed beast in the backfield that Lane Kiffin's got for Ole Miss?
Yeah,
about
eight, 5 guys.
7, 9, 10, half the offense running the football. I think that proves to be a problem for Kirby Smart's boys. And at the proficiency at which Ole Miss can score points this year, with just the defense is better than it's been since Lane's been there. I'm taking the land shark here with the lane train. Start throwing a coal in it, get it going, because Ole Miss is going to start making points here for maybe we should be a top 4 ranked team if we can win the West, and then we play Georgia again and beat Georgia again. If we beat them this week, then hold my beer. Hold my beer. I'm taking Ole Miss. They're running Rebs. Get them shooting. Get them going, because the Bulldogs got to run for cover. Get the air raid siren going.
Well, the Georgia crowd here, they boo you. They say, no.
I don't care. They play with chickens and their cousins.
All right. I love that. All right. So we're at this point in the show, and if you know, this is where it gets electric. I mean, Georgia, they're the number 2 team in the country. They should be number 1, but that would offend some Ohio State fans. So we won't get into that talk today. Georgia's got Carson Beck. They got a run game. They got a defense. They got a dog for a mascot. The crowd's hyped. It's in Georgia. I mean, they don't lose. Come on, 25 straight. No way they lose this football game. Except where they will lose this football game. I'm riding the train. Ole Miss wins this game. Quinshon Junkins is the big part of it. He's going to run through that Georgia defense. Jackson Dart is going to do enough with this offense and those wide receivers. And this defense is going to, let's be honest, they're going to get ran through quite a bit. But they are going to have 1 or 2 drives to where they stop this team. And they win this football game. And you know what? Who wants to ride the train? I want to ride the train. Go Ole Miss.
Choo-choo!
All right. And that will do it for our show today. Thank you all so much for joining. Really do appreciate it. And let's close out as we always do. God bless you all in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Enjoy your college football Saturday. I know that we will. And especially with this game.
So, Ole Miss, let's get it. Thank you, folks. This is the JCP Ends Perspective. This is the College Football Show. And as always, like Cole said, please enjoy your college football Saturday. That's Cole. I'm Chooch. We'll have Jacob back next week.
Hopefully.
We're out.